on this episode of the China Chronicles.
I went to the Great Wall when it was very cold. And when I started climbing, because there's no regular steps that you just walk.
Oh no!
Like,
And they're not even. Hello everybody and welcome to a special episode of this China content series. My name is Quinn Segis. I am from St. Lucia. I work with St. Lucia Times and Barbados Today. And I am the host and creator of the Game Changers podcast. Like I said, this is a special episode. It's special because I have some special guests. I'm with some of the greatest thinkers, greatest minds in the Caribbean, thought provokers and thought leaders. But I'll not introduce them. I'll allow them to introduce themselves. So, my first person, tell us your name, where you come from, your organization, and anything else that you want to tell us about yourself.
Okay, first of all, Quinn, thanks for having me. Everyone, my name is Daniel John, and I'm a journalist presenter from Trinidad and Tobago, working with TTT Limited, Trinidad and Tobago Television.
All right, thank you. Next.
Hello everyone, my name is Omega Dublin. I am from St. Vincent and I work with One News St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Beautiful.
Hello, I am Rakisha St. Louis from Spice Island, Grenada. I work with the Government Information Service, GIS. I am the senior news officer there. I am a mother of one, a proud mother of one. I've been in the media for over 18 years and I love it.
Hello, everyone. My name is Casey Jerson, and I am a member of the St. Lucia China Friendship Association.
Beautiful, beautiful. Rukisha said she's a mother of one. I almost said she's a godmother of one as well, but we're not going to that. That's an inside joke. We're not going to that. All right? All right. I just want to start off by asking you guys, how did you become part of this program? And since Casey has a mic, you can go first. How did you even get to know about this China program and how did you become part of it?
Okay, so like I said in my introduction, I'm a member of the St. Lucia China Friendship Association. And because of this association, this is how I got to know about this program. We deal with the quasi St. Lucian Chinese embassy in St. Lucia. So since I was a member of the association, they awarded me this opportunity to come here.
Beautiful. Next.
Okay, well, Grenada has always been participating in short courses and this program because I have a colleague who was here last year. And one day my director came to me and he said, we were invited to participate and we would like you to go. I must say I had my reservations, but I jumped at the opportunity because I was part of the Media Workers Association in Grenada on the executive, and we had the opportunity to sign off on other journalists coming here to participate in courses, and I never took the opportunity. So this was my chance, I guess. So I jumped at it.
All right.
Okay. I was told about the program through a mutual friend of Casey from St. Lucia. So it was interesting. I liked what was said about it. So I did necessary preparations for the program to come here.
Sure.
So just to add what you said, the mutual friend is actually the president of the St. Lucia China Friendship Association.
Got you.
Goes by the name Earl Bousquet.
All right. Yes. Earl is a very popular voice in St. Lucia.
Okay, well, my manager actually reached out to me and he presented the opportunity to me. And honestly, at first it sounded too good to be true.
Right.
Like, I have a colleague who went to China and never would I have ever imagined, going to China. And as I said, I was excited. But honestly, when I got the time to really sit and think about what I just accepted, I was like, what am I getting myself into? Because
Right.
as we know, the Western media isn't really too kind to China, right?
Right.
So I was like, am I really going to come over here? And then people were telling me, girl, you coming to China, whatever.
Right.
You can't do this here, you can't do that here. And well, I knew I was coming a month before.
Right.
For that entire month, I was just kind of like depressed.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like if I was getting thrown into something that I
Right.
that I had like no choice. Yeah. And I wouldn't lie to you. I cried on the plane. I cried myself to sleep for the entire 9 hours. But after coming here, I could say I'm so happy that I took the opportunity.
Right.
Because yes, I want, like, not to be dramatic, but this is like one of the best experiences I've ever had in my entire career.
Yeah, and we're going to some of the details of what exactly you experienced a little bit later. For me, it was pretty interesting. It was similar to you guys. I was actually not in St. Lucia at the time. I was in Suriname in December. My mom is from Suriname, so we spent some time over there. And I was just walking in town, and my manager messaged me, and she asked, "Do you have a US visa?" I said, "Okay, where do you guys want to send me? Because that is the only reason you'll be asking me that question." And then they were like, "We want to send you to China for something." I was like, "Interesting." But I said yes right away. And she was like, "Why did you say yes so quickly? Like we thought you would have some reservations." But the way I see the world is that, it's better to experience certain things than just hear about it, right? And I wanted the Chinese experience. I wanted to come to Asia and see what Asia is really like, from my own perspective. So it was similar to you guys, and yeah, like Daniel said, it has been an amazing experience, and we'll get into the details a little bit later. So Daniel, you were the first in this group to arrive here. In fact, you got here in a totally different season compared to all of us. You came here in the winter time. What was it like when you just arrived?
Honestly, I think it was like too cold to think, Like it was really cold. The temperature was in the minus. And I underestimated how cold it would be.
Mhm.
So I came with my little sweaters, thinking I'm well prepared. And our assistant, Lou, she looked at me and she's like, "There's all the clothes you have." And I was like, yeah, stepped outside. I literally couldn't walk. I was shivering. But apart from the weather, I was just, because China is different from the Caribbean, right?
Correct.
Nice buildings, nice tall buildings. It was a whole different scenery. Apart from the environment and the weather, I think I was just blown away by the hospitality of the people.
Right.
Like, I came, I was greeted, like warmly welcomed into China from day one. So yeah, that was my first impression being here.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you. Yeah, it was too cold for me to think as well, and I didn't come in winter, so I can just imagine what it was like when you got here. Yeah. Let's go with Rikisha this time. What was it like when you arrived?
When I arrived, my first impression, that's literally, because where I come from, where you hear stories, you hear things, and I was just in awe, looking at the height of the buildings.
Right.
I call it the beautification campaign because I don't understand how everywhere you go along the roads there are flowers planted, whether it's real flowers, artificial flowers. You see a lot of flowers, and to me that's really mind blowing.
Honestly, yeah.
The people, I felt like a celebrity. I still feel like a celebrity everywhere you go.
Right.
Sometimes they ask. Now that we've been here for a while, they don't ask anymore. They just put up the phone and they take photos.
Yeah.
And when it happened the first time, I'm like, I was thrown off. But then, I must agree with Daniel and say the hospitality of the people. We were warmly welcomed and treated. I didn't feel anyhow like I was different. They didn't make me feel like that. The food, I thought I was gonna have more reservations towards the food, but I am a pasta girl. I love pasta. So once my food had pasta,
you were good to go.
I was good to go.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yes, Ome. So tell us a little bit about what your first impressions were like.
Well, my first impressions were I was scared.
Honestly.
Because it's the first time I've flown so far away from home. Especially when I had to take 2 planes to get here. And I knew nobody besides Casey. So I was very scared about how what my experience was going to be. But that quickly faded. As soon as I got to the compound, I was greeted by the assistants and they took very good care of me. And the people in the Caribbean group, you're very friendly.
Yes. Yes, the best group. I'm very biased where that is concerned. Casey, you can tell us what your first impressions were. I think you might have had more context about China than all of us when you came here, but you were still shocked, I'm sure.
You believe so?
I believe so.
All right,
I
so
might be wrong.
not really, but honestly, in fact, in my entire life, China is one country which I told myself I would never want to go.
Oh, wow.
There's a long history behind that, but it stemmed from something I saw while I was in the UK on a British citizen who brought some drugs into China before his own embassy could speak on his behalf. He was executed.
Wow.
So I had some reservations about China. And then when I was told I had to come to China last month, I was still within those reservations. And I was a bit timid. I was told, yeah, you need to get your passport ready and this, that, and the fourth. And I was like, okay. I probably dragged my feet on getting that ready. And then I missed the opportunity last year. And then this year came around, and then my association invited me to the Chinese New Year festival, which happened at the Chinese embassy in St. Lucia. And I got to experience a little bit of Chinese hospitality firsthand back home. And then that quickly transformed my reservation. So it began the transformation. And then I started to research China online, actually, YouTube, and watch some first-hand experiences of people who actually went to China, people from the Western world, and start speaking about China in the different cities. And I was like, wow, this is quite different from what I was expecting to see. So then I quickly turned around my reservations, and I was actually eager to come to China. And then my own association had its 20th anniversary at the Chinese embassy before I left. It was literally a day and a half or 2 days before I left. And then I say, coming from that, boom, I had to board a flight and come to China. And then coming to China was, again, like Omega, this is the first time I've been so far away from home. I had to take 2 flights to actually get to my destination. The flights were
long. They say it long.
Can we not talk about flights?
Extremely long, yes. But I don't know what else I could use to describe them. They were a little bit uncomfortable for tall people as well.
Yes, I can imagine.
Yeah, it's not going to be that fun going back home.
Right.
But when I arrived in China, wow. From, I think, my very first day, I felt the Chinese hospitality. From the time I was going through immigration, I actually met someone who helped me out a lot on my first day. If not for meeting her, I don't know how my first day would have turned out. But thank God I met her, and it turned out really smooth.
Beautiful.
And then coming to the DRC, I mean, just being welcomed by the assistants and, of course, my friends from the Caribbean group was pretty lovely. I think the very first lecture I walked in, and then I was like, yo, St. Lucian. And then Queen was like, yeah, St. Lucian. And then
that's so funny.
Let's just say that was a wrap from there. But outside of that, the food, I didn't really have too much reservation on it. Chinese food is actually my second best cuisine outside of, let's say St. Lucian cuisine.
Yeah, okay.
Number 1.
Understood.
Italian cuisine I like number 2, and then Chinese was always there, thereabouts. So I never had any reservation about the food, although it's quite different here in taste.
Yep.
It still tastes lovely, and I mean, I've had a blast so far in China.
Beautiful, beautiful. And that was so interesting what you just said about us meeting, Casey, because Casey and I have worked in the same organization, but we've never worked together. So I had heard about Casey, but I had never met him until we came here. And it's so interesting, like, to go across the world, all the way around the world, to meet somebody from your own country. That's very, very interesting.
Sometimes that's just how life is.
That's just how life is, for true. All right, so we know that we came here, and one of the challenges in China, obviously, is the language barrier. I mean, we are English speakers, most of us, even if some of our accents are a bit different. But that was one of the major problems. And then we are journalists as well. So we are storytellers. We have to share our stories. What was it like navigating that challenge for you guys? Maybe Rikisha can start this time.
Even in English, back home, I would say to my colleagues, make Google your best friend.
Oh, yes.
So, the using apps, and Quinn, you helped a lot in that area when we had to translate or record video footage. So we would I used to see you at times putting your earpiece, not even being able to follow.
No.
putting your earpiece by the speaker in your phone so that we can get the audio. So at least, we could send something back home, because that's why we're here, to share and to change whatever is out there about China, all the negatives. So I think apps, the internet, these things helped greatly in navigating the language barrier, for me at least.
For sure. And that struggle was real in terms of recording audio. Let me tell you something. As journalists, we always have to go the extra mile, but we have to go the extra mile here because the language barrier. Casey, let's hear from you.
Well, just like Rakisha said, thank God for Google. Google was like my translator, my Chinese teacher. When I first came here, I remember my first Sunday, I just lay down in my bed and went through some basics with Google Translator.
Okay.
Good morning, hello, how are you? These sorts of things, So, good morning, Zhao Shahang. How are you, Neoma?
Okay.
Hello, Ni hao.
Showing off, show off.
Well, I need to feel like I know some Chinese.
Pretend, yeah.
But thank God for Google. If not for Google, who knows?
For sure.
I would have been totally lost, for sure.
For sure. Does anybody else want to chime in?
Although I think now, more than ever, with the internet at our fingertips,
yes,
navigating wouldn't or shouldn't be very
as difficult.
Because I met someone who's been here for 3 years, and she said, I know the bare basics. I don't see the need to force myself to learn full-blown Chinese.
Right.
Because I can survive without it.
And that's very interesting. The technology has really transformed the way we interact with the world. Anything else to add, Omi?
Well, before I came here, I had at least a month to prepare. So I was thinking, while I was here, I was going to learn some Chinese. And when I go back, I was going to be somewhat of an expert in the language.
Oh, wow, Omi.
But what are you, an expert in? Chopsticks?
Yes. That's
Hey, you're better than most of us. I can give you that.
I didn't even try.
The pronunciation is just
hard. It's difficult, yes.
Very hard. So, as Rikisha and Casey said, Google was definitely my best friend.
Beautiful.
But I must say, even though we have the technology and you could just take out your phone and, do the Google Translate, as a person who don't know the language at all, sometimes it could have been, I don't know if anybody could agree, a little draining. Sometimes you just want to get something to eat. You don't want to have to take out your phone and then they have to read it. And then sometimes you don't understand. As simple as collecting a package. Somebody call my phone, I don't even know what they say. I have to run downstairs, give it to the guard. The guard have to... It's a lot. But again, thank God for technology that we were able to navigate these challenges. And as you mentioned with Quinn, if he wasn't able to think on his feet and record, and then that is putting him at a disadvantage because he can't listen while the program is going on. So I would like to suggest maybe in the future, we have English speaking journalists in the program. As much as possible, if we could have an English speaker, presenting.
Yeah.
We have people that work for press and print, sorry. And it's easy for them to navigate the challenge because they could just listen, right?
Yeah,
but audio, for the people who work with television, it's really, really a challenge, So yeah.
Yeah. And it was a sacrifice on my end in that regard, but I like to be a small cog in a big wheel. I like to be part of a bigger team, and I saw that that would have been helpful for the team. So I didn't feel any way about it. The good thing about it is I could read because my phone actually transcribed, so I could actually read. So I could follow, albeit not perfect. The transcription was not perfect. Sometimes it got the wording a little bit wrong, but yeah, it was. It was what it was, and we have to make sacrifices in order so that the whole can be better. So yeah, it was good in that regard.
And I feel too, it's important for us to commend the Chinese people.
Yes.
Years gone by, we would hear that, or we would get the impression that the Chinese were sheltered. I came here and I did not expect to meet Chinese who can speak English.
Oh, yeah, they speak English very well.
And speak English fluently.
Yes.
Right? There are some places that you go And from the time they see you walking in, hello, good morning. And you say, okay, well, you can get comfortable. That didn't happen years ago.
No.
We have people who are fluent in French,
Yes.
Arabic,
Spanish.
Yeah. And they must be commended because they made, especially the staff at DRC and CIPCC, they made living more comfortable for us.
For
because
sure.
we could ask if we didn't understand something, we didn't have to pull out our phones. They knew what we were saying. And if they didn't, they would, Google it quickly and say, and then they would explain. So I must commend China and probably say that the story has been changed.
For sure.
They are not sheltered and they are quite exposed. Probably not as we would like them to be, but they are exposed.
For sure. I always say that, sometimes I think that English speakers are probably the laziest group of people because foreign people come and they learn English, they learn other languages because they have to. But we have it easy when we speak English because almost the entire world speaks our language. So yeah, I must commend the Chinese and like I said, like the quality of translation, like big words they're translating for us and fluently, and that was really amazing for sure. Now we had fun in China, right? It wasn't all work. We did have fun. We were allowed to go to different provinces and do different things. Maybe, I know that's a hard question, but pick one experience rather that really stood out to you. It doesn't have to be in Beijing. I could probably start with this one. For me, it was probably the Great Wall. I know that was a challenge for some of you, but there are certain places on my bucket list that I wanted to visit, before my life comes to an end. And the Great Wall was one of them. It's one of the 8 wonders of the world. Everybody in the world knows the Great Wall. You could see the Great Wall from space as well. It is something that was really on my bucket list, and just being able to go there, I have bragging rights. I probably went the furthest than most people in a group. Yes, I was showing off. I won't deny that I was showing off, but it was a lot of fun in that regard, and it was an amazing experience. I mean, I did say one experience, but also yesterday I went to the aquarium, and let me tell you, that was an amazing experience. China keeps on surprising me, right? When you think that, okay, you've experienced
And
all there is to experience.
Yep.
And then next experience is like, what? There's more to this. There is more to be seen and more to partake in. So yeah, between the Great Wall and the aquarium yesterday, yeah, these two.
Strange enough for me, I have been in awe at mostly all the provinces. We had a lot of museum visits, and it's just amazing to see how China has preserved its history and how much knowledge they have of said history.
For sure.
That they're able to take you through. And the museums aren't one floor like we have back home.
No.
Floors. You have to take elevators and continue, right? And every room that you go to, every aspect of it is amazing.
Yes.
The Great Wall is another one. I know you said one, but the Great Wall. The Great Wall. When I said I was coming and I started to make the announcement back home that I'm going to China and I'll be there for a while, everybody was, oh, you have to go to the Great Wall. And I'm like, nah, because I have a really bad back. So I was like, climbing the Great Wall is not on my bucket list. My Caribbean friends, who quickly became family, convinced me to go on the Great Wall.
Yes.
Oh, you have to climb, even if you just reach halfway. My God, let me tell you, halfway was almost to the top. And I'm going, and everybody left. And Omega stayed with me. And then at a point in time, I'm looking for Omega, and I couldn't find Omega.
Wow.
Because she felt I was moving too slow because I kept sitting.
Yeah.
I tell you, I sat about 6 times. I had water break. I had grapes break. And I was just recording everything and having fun. But I made it to the 8th tower.
Yeah. You reached far. But
to me, I did well.
Which one?
And I did a video and I posted on my status saying that, everybody's talking about the Great Wall and it is a challenge. It isn't an easy task.
No, it is. It really isn't.
And you don't have to feel conquered if you don't reach the top.
No,
I felt like I conquered the Great Wall
For
by
sure.
reaching to the 8th tower.
for sure.
Trust me, I wasn't conquered. I conquered.
Yes, yes.
Right?
Speak on it,
So
Rikisha.
it
Speak on it.
was one of the best experiences I had. I mean, I could talk about Dalian. I can
Oh,
talk about
Dalian.
the zoo. I
the
can talk
zoo.
about a lot of things because, as Quinn said, China just kept giving. Every time you thought that's it, something else happened.
All right. Yeah.
I think everybody would agree that the Great Wall was one of the best experiences, right? And I would like to commend you all because I went to the Great Wall when it was very cold, and when I started climbing, because there's no regular steps that you just walk.
No.
Like,
And they're not even. They're not even.
let me give you some advice. You're going to the Great Wall, comfortable shoes,
Yes.
water, do some warm-up exercises
Yes.
before, no, it's really not easy. But I went when it was cold, and your girl in her little winter jacket and she singing. By the time I reach up 2 little stairs, I had to take off that jacket. I sweating. First, the climb was so intense.
Yeah.
And you all went when it was 36
It
degrees.
was hot. It was really hot.
So I don't know how you all did that. But yeah, at one point I was on my all fours.
Yeah.
Climbing up. It wasn't easy. I don't even think I made it as far as the 8th.
Wow.
It was tough. But apart from the Great Wall, for me, if you're from the Caribbean and you're looking for something similar to home, I would highly recommend Hainan. Hainan is the tropical part of China. You could see beaches, coconut trees. You could drink a coconut water by the beach, seafood. Best experience. China is not just about tall buildings and, China has many, as someone described China the other day, is mini countries in one big country.
That's pretty accurate.
Right? So, you must find a province that you like and that, makes you feel comfortable or at home, I would say.
Save the best for last.
Yes. Always giving herself time to think. I know your tactics, Omi. Right?
So just like everyone, the Great Wall was one of the highlights. I live in a very mountainous area back home.
Yes.
So when I saw the Great Wall, I thought this is nothing, man. I climb mountains
So
all
you
the
thought?
time,
Say that.
Yeah, he did.
That's why I'm remarking it right now. I climb this mountain all the time. It's nothing. And then when I actually saw the steps, some steps, when I raised my leg, my knee was almost to my chest. So this was quite challenging. So trust me, I must applaud you, Rikisha, when you said you made it to the 8th tower. That's as far as I went to myself. And even though I arrived before, I think yourself, only person who was further ahead because I was with Quinn most of the time.
Yeah.
And he left me at the 8th tower and he went, I think, all the way to the 10th for me.
There.
Yeah. But I did slowly see you all coming up. I think surprisingly, Anderson, who was sadly not here with us, was one of the
He's
first.
He's alive. Yeah.
Yes.
He's not.
Yes. I don't mean he's no longer here. He's just not at the podcast with us. Yes.
He's alive.
But he was one of the first ones I saw arriving at Fortress 8, and he's he's not going any further. I'm like, yeah, man, I stopped here myself. The sun is too hot. It's amazing. But Queen has gone all the way. He's a gym man. He let him do his thing. And then eventually I saw Omi and then I saw Rikisha. So I must applaud you guys because the journey was not easy.
It wasn't.
It was not easy.
That's very true.
It was not easy.
That's very true.
So again, I still applaud Quinn for going all the way where he went because I reached Fortress 8 and it was a wrap for me. Took my photos, did what I had to do. Mama, we made it. It's a wrap. Coming out from that, I'd also like to say the museum visits were also very pleasant. When I lived in the UK, the British Museum was one of my favorite things to go to visit. I think I've been there maybe about 3 or 4 times in my stay at the UK. Yeah. So just the multiple museums they have in China and just the different things to see on different levels and different floors was also very amazing. And then I must also highlight, because I'm big on performances and arts. So I must highlight the performance I saw in Liaoning.
That's true. Yeah.
that Riverside performance was actually quite amazing for me. I mean, you normally see China put on these performances at the beginning of Olympics and they look, so spectacular with gymnastics and all sorts of things. But to actually witness one in person was quite amazing. Just the talent on show at Liaoning. I think it was Shaoyang was the last city we visited. It was quite amazing to see the singers, and I think the highlight for me was the all-girl choir. They were just adorable.
Yeah.
The way they harmonized with the lone guitar singer was just amazing.
Beautiful.
So yeah, these are my 3 highlights. Beautiful. I mean, there are many more, but
yeah, we don't have time. We'll spend the whole day here.
How come we forgot to highlight the fact that we were part of the opera with our funny looking makeup?
All right. Yeah.
That's
They were part of the opera. I had no role in that one, but yes, Omega, go ahead. Tell us, other than the opera, what did you really like?
The one that stood out to me was Liaoning province and how advanced it is, especially that it was originally China's powerhouse, and how it's still somewhat the powerhouse because it keeps the structure of what was once in a pretty good shape. And how we visited the museum, which had the first floor, and the preservation of it. It was very wonderful to me. That stood out to me the most. But out of all of them, was definitely cuisine.
Okay, yes. Omega, say no more. Say no more, Omega.
God.
So,
Omega.
we know.
yeah, say no more.
We don't need to bring up cuisine.
Yeah, well,
Tell
yeah.
them some of the things you tried, Omega.
Oh, yeah. Please.
We don't have anything Omega in try.
That's very true. That's very. In fact,
maybe the starfish.
it might be easier for her to tell us what she did not
Yeah,
try.
yeah.
Because
Donkey.
I did try the
Starfish.
I tried the donkey.
yeah, okay, that's pretty interesting. So, yeah, like I said, we had a lot of fun here, and there was not just fun in the places that we visited, but there were elements of Chinese culture that I experienced that were fun as well. And one for me, and maybe you guys can chime in that regard as well, is the ease of commerce. How easy it is to do business in China. Let me tell you something. WeChat is an amazing app, right? If you don't know what WeChat is, I wanted to compare it to WhatsApp, but that's a poor comparison. Because
an analogy at all.
because it's a messaging app, but you can do so much more with it. You can pay for things, you can order, it's connected to your taxi app. You can pay for anything with WeChat. You can send funds to your friends or email, and it's so fast. It like within seconds, literally within seconds, it happens. Right? So that was something that really stood out to me. Imagine being able to go to buy something and not having to bring a wallet, not having to bring cash. If you have your phone, you can do absolutely anything in China.
Can you imagine what life would be like going back to St. Lucia?
Oh, I would
And
feel
having
like
to
a
hold-
caveman.
Plus,
I would-
Change back in you.
I will feel like a caveman when I go back home because it is so easy here. It is really, really,
amazing.
it is really so easy. Was there anything similar to that? I mean, I know commerce for everybody, but was there anything similar to that? Yeah.
You mean,
That would like stood out.
Yeah, that stood out to you.
I would say, love the Caribbean to my heart, Trinidadian to my heart,
Yeah.
right? But I was telling myself, I need to unlearn some of the practices that I've learned in China in a good way.
Yeah.
Because just imagine someone called me. I don't even know, like, the person is speaking Mandarin. I don't know what they're telling me. And then they were like, what apartment? What apartment? So I was like, okay, maybe it's delivery. I gave this person my exact address. I was like, okay, building XYZ floor, whatever,
Yeah.
apartment, whatever. Then I was like, did I really just do that? Like, give my exact location?
Right.
I think I feel a bit too safe here.
It's very safe. Yeah.
I guess I'm a bit too comfortable.
That's true.
So I have to remember, it's the reality, right? When I go back to where I'm going, because I was in an environment that I felt so safe, I can't get too comfortable back home. So saying all that to say commending China for the
Yes.
safety of
Safety.
the country.
Absolutely.
my mother was like, you literally outside more than you would be when you're back home.
It's true.
Yeah, because I could walk around at 3 a.m. and feel safe. Nobody is on me. For people who worrying about racism, never experienced it. Me personally, I've never experienced
Yeah.
racism. The people are more curious than anything.
Yes,
As a
they
black
are.
person, they probably want to touch you. They're staring at you, but it's not, it's out of curiosity. They
Yes.
just, and yeah, like safety in this country,
Don't
out
worry
of this
about that.
room. Like, no, go ahead.
I think it'll be strange for me going back home because sometimes somebody would ask me my number and I have a million questions as to why do you want my number?
Yeah.
When they just want to connect on WhatsApp. And here, before they say WeChat,
They scan. They scan. It's true.
I put my phone out so that they
so
could
true.
scan.
That
And
is
I'm not even concerned about how many contacts I have on WeChat.
that is true.
But back home, I
might
have
have too many
million
contacts.
questions like why you want my number. I would just call it. Just give me your number. I will call you. That kind of thing. So I think that for me, like Daniel said, I probably would have to unlearn.
Yeah.
Because I may just have to keep giving my number and having people connect with me on WhatsApp, which isn't a bad thing.
No.
The field that I'm in, but sometimes
you have to be
persons
careful.
don't respect boundaries.
Yes.
And that's a problem I didn't have here on WeChat. They would message, you respond, and most times it was business related. Business related. They want to advertise a product or and they use that forum.
Yeah. Anything else to add? No, not really. Okay, good. All right. So we quickly come into the end of this interview. It has been a very fun interview, a very fun discussion. If you could leave a message for a journalist who will come onto this program, not just a journalist, but somebody who will come here, to China, what advice would you give to them, and what would you tell them about this place? Just to wrap up things.
I would say come with an open mind.
Very important.
That is what I didn't do. I came scared. I came with all the thoughts of my family because when I was leaving, when I was told of the trip, I was thinking of the million and one things I had to do to secure my business, to ensure that my mom was all right, that she didn't have to worry about bills, my son. And I was just flustered when I came here. Added to that, my luggage was left in Boston.
Poor job.
I had to be rerouted to 2 other airports. So it took me almost 3 days to get here when it should have only taken 1. Right? So I would say come with an open mind. Whatever you hear about China, when you get here, be the judge for yourself.
Yes.
China is a beautiful place.
It is.
The people are nice. The infrastructure, it's breathtaking. The food, if you're a foodie and you're open to trying new things, you will be okay. Just come with it. That's the only thing I have to say to you. Come with an open mind because it will be a culture shock if you come, with everything that you've heard and then you're trying now to, in your brain, cipher what you should, like sift out the good and the bad. So just come freely.
I would definitely say don't come with too much luggage.
That's very important.
Much clothes.
Yes. Yes, because you will be definitely going back with more than you bargained for.
That's very true.
And if you aren't open to photography, when you come here, just practice your smile.
Yeah, it's
You
true.
will feel like a celebrity, I mean. Because everybody will turn into paparazzi. There'll be pictures taken of you. You won't even know that the pictures are being taken of you.
Yes, it's true.
So just be open-minded, as Rikisha said.
Yeah.
I think I'm Chinese now, no peace.
Yes. That piece side. Yeah.
And to add with the food, right? Yes, come with an open mind about the food, but we could literally find food from every, like, there's a New Zealand restaurant.
Yes.
There's an Italian restaurant. We found Caribbean food.
There's French
So
food.
it's like,
Anything.
you'll be fine.
Yeah.
And come take in as much as you can.
Mhm.
If you come to CIPCC specifically, there's so much to experience. Don't take it for granted. And also form your own experiences. Like do stuff outside of the program. China has so much to see. And it seems like, 4 months or 3 months. But the time flies and you don't want, you're packing your suitcase to go back home and you're thinking, what did I really do in this place? You know? So like, come take it all in. Rikisha said, be your own judge. What you see on the internet is definitely not what it is.
Yeah, it's true.
Right? Like every one of us probably was scared, but we came and now some people is like, you don't want to go back home.
Right.
I mean, you have your son Rikisha. If it wasn't for your family, wouldn't you want to have stayed a little longer?
You're good.
Yeah.
Oh, say that, Rikisha. Just say that.
But yeah, like no, it's a wonderful experience. And if you come to CIPCC again, don't worry, these people are going to take care of you. They are going to I asked a lot of questions. Where am I going to be sleeping? All of you living nice. No, like we living nice. No, like it's a nice apartment. You have assistants. These people are so helpful.
Big up Blue.
Big up Lou, big up Ada, big up Jacqueline, big up Lucas. Like everybody, like we were well taken care of. Like you have nothing to worry about. Just come and I promise you that this is going to be like one of the best experiences of your life.
Absolutely. Casey?
Okay, so I'd say just like what Rikisha said, come with an open mind. That I think is the key. And also, you don't have to be afraid when you're in China, Beijing, or any of the Chinese cities. This is literally, to me, one of the safest places on earth.
Yeah, facts.
They talk about camera and privacy, but it's not so. It's really to make sure that the citizens are safe. And trust me, everywhere I went in China, I felt 120%
safe. Yeah.
I think Quinn also had a issue where he left his tie back in a room.
Oh yeah,
while we were on a bus.
Yeah.
While we were on a bus, someone called and said someone left a tie, and they sent the tie to Quinn.
They shipped the tie to me in Beijing, and that was crazy.
Yeah, no one. It's so hard to even get stuff stolen here in China.
Yeah, that's
people
true.
have good principles.
That's true.
So I mean, come with an open mind. Be not afraid of what you've seen and heard from Western media, and just come and experience China for yourself. Apart from that, e-commerce is really amazing. You could feel like staying in your room and you like retail therapy. I'm pretty sure a few of my people
Tao. I'm not saying
retail
who,
therapy. It is one of the best for that. You could just stay and order off your phone and things come in record time. I think I ordered something yesterday and it's here. It's right next to me. So China is pretty amazing. I don't think there's much bad to say about China, really.
To be honest.
The food is quite amazing. We all found food that we're quite familiar with and accustomed to and liked. And even in Chinese cuisine, I found food that I thought I'd never eat. And I mean, I have liked as well. Peking duck was amazing. I never ate duck in my life.
But me too.
Thank you to... No.
I used to cook for the duck.
But talking about food, right? Like, what is one Chinese dish, that you had back home that you never saw in China? For me, it's chow mein. Chow mein. I'm like, did we make that up in the Caribbean? Like, what is chow mein? Like, I have never seen it before.
So different.
Yeah, and what they call chow mein here is not what we call. So we call chow mein noodles. It's something totally different.
But the strange thing about it, the irony is that Chinese are in the Caribbean.
Yes.
So they are the ones making the food.
They're cooking it for us. They're cooking it for us.
Because
That's why
I've been asking for roast chicken since I came here. Because back home, I would go to Grenville and I would have roast chicken and noodles or roast chicken and fries.
Yeah.
And I haven't been able to have roast chicken here.
You know what? Like, what was very interesting, like, so typically in the Caribbean, we eat a lot of like beans with our rice. I've not seen beans like that. So they'll rather give you like 3 different meats together with your rice. I think before they give you beans, like beans, it's not that they don't have beans, but they don't use it often.
I think the first time I saw beans was in a soup at CET.
You see, and it's very rare. It's very rare to get beans here. I guess there are other sources of protein, but yeah.
I think before we wrap up, speaking about, giving, what would you say to journalists or people wanting to come to China? I think it's also important that the family of those individuals support the decision.
Absolutely.
Because it will make the transition easier.
That's true.
When I was coming here, my friends had a plethora of questions that I couldn't answer.
Yes.
Like Daniel said, where would you be staying? How would this happen?
That was my mother. My mother had
that.
those questions.
How would we? And they don't use phone. They don't have internet. They don't have this. And I started to, get dizzy. And I'm like, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then when they realized that it was bothering me, to a point where I started to feel depressed about coming here, they started to change the conversation. Like, oh, the time is going to go by quickly. You'll be back before you know it. Mikhail, my son, will be fine. Before. And they changed it. And that kind of helped me. So every time I called, it wasn't a depressing conversation. But, they tried to lift me and make it a positive, my decision was a good one. So I didn't feel bad about it. So I think the support from family members and friends could really help with the transition, however short it is. Because I had colleagues who came for 3 weeks. They're back home already. And they enjoyed it because they had that support.
Yeah. Yeah. And another big thing for me is that I like that almost everybody said come with an open mind. An open mind in that it doesn't mean that you will agree with everything that you see in China.
True.
Right? And that is fine. The point of coming here and the point of traveling in general is to learn about people's culture, is to see the world from a different perspective, is to understand how people think about things and compare it with your things. And sometimes what you think is wrong. So you can learn and adapt. And sometimes what you think is right, and then you just transfer it. The point of coming here is to expand your knowledge. And for me, China has certainly done that. Every single day I felt like I learned something new. And I'm a better journalist because of it. But more importantly, I'm a better person because of it. So I'm more well-rounded as an individual because of it.
All right, so just going back on the negative ends, what did you think when they told you, especially back home, WhatsApp doesn't work in China?
Oh, well,
I almost tried.
that was,
And I was told my iPhone wouldn't work in China.
Oh, well.
And I'm like, well,
we found
it's an
workarounds,
iPhone.
didn't we?
I had. So I was really scared coming here.
Honestly.
I wouldn't lie, I was depressed coming here, thinking about my one piece of iPhone. And the fact that I was an Android user for years.
Yeah.
And last year I decided to switch to iPhone. And then now you're telling me
You don't work in there.
I may not be able to. So then when I got here, I actually felt probably they're right because I had a VPN installed on my phone, but apparently it wasn't working.
Yeah.
So I would call and the calls would last 1 second, 2 seconds. And then at a point in time, my son was like, Mommy, talk fast, you know the phone. And that was frustrating me because I'm like, I couldn't get words in.
Right.
Because the call kept dropping.
Yeah.
I went to the office and I was like, Lou, I think something is wrong with my internet. And she said, it's not the internet. I said, what do you mean? I said, because my call's dropping. And then they installed a new VPN. And I must say that I haven't had an issue since with my... I honestly thought it was my phone.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, it's not the phone. The iPhone works.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You got me, what?
Yeah. Amazing. She's amazing.
Just to add to what she said, right? And this is like another reason why I need to come and experience it on your own. Everybody was worried about how they're going to connect to their family back home with WhatsApp. Just imagine I spoke to someone who came to China and that person told me, oh yeah, you could use the VPN, but don't let them catch you on WhatsApp and stuff. So me thinking, oh God, they're going to arrest me.
Yeah.
just for trying to talk to my family. All these things are not true. So even sometimes, like, you talk to somebody who come to China, people have different motives.
That's
right?
very true.
So come, get your own experience. And yes, the WhatsApp works. Yes, you could install a VPN. Yes, you'll be able to connect to your family. Yes, you could be on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. All of these things work perfectly fine. You don't need to worry.
Beautiful.
And just to add, when you come here, don't be afraid to be yourself.
It's true.
The Chinese, they aren't afraid to be themselves.
Yes, that's a big thing.
Yes.
That's a big thing.
Yes.
All right, so we've pretty much come to the end of this conversation. I want to thank you guys for agreeing to this. I know it took a lot to sit down and talk, but I think it was worth it. You know, it's always good to reflect on your journey wherever you go. One of the most amazing things that I didn't mention coming here was meeting you all. For me,
Oh,
I would say that it might have been one of the biggest highlights of my journey. It's so interesting. Like Caribbean people are Caribbean people wherever we go, right? And we are one Caribbean, right?
Yeah.
We are one Caribbean. Caribbean Day when we went to that in Beijing really highlighted that for me because it. I mean, we are just a vibe. We are just so different than everybody else, and we are so lively. And just coming together and spending time with you all was a big highlight. You know, just imagine, something happens and I can just look at Rikisha and know and without saying a word, I know what Rikisha is thinking about.
Yeah.
I can look at Daniel and it's the same thing, okay,
Yeah,
and just
yes.
the eyes say everything about it. Was pretty interesting. So going through an experience with people who feel now like family to me, was very interesting. And I will miss you all when I go back home. I will tell you that.
And
for
I'll
sure.
be using some of the phrases.
Yeah, man,
Except
yeah.
Anderson's.
Well, yeah.
I would not be swearing in Jamaica.
No yadi,
Put that out there.
no yadi language. Back home. yeah.
Except
Hey,
when it's 4:00 on the job and I want to say, I'm ready to go back into the yard.
you know.
That's the only thing I'll be
Hey,
saying.
I just said you're missing in action. You really missed out on this one, you know.
Yeah, bro.
There are certain times we walking and something would happen and Daniel would look at me and then she'd be like, what did that boy? And because it's something I always say when people annoy me. What
Yeah.
did that boy? And then, and she would know what I'm thinking.
Exactly.
Quinn is the same thing. You'd be like, Rikisha, your face. And I'm like, if my mouth doesn't say,
Yeah, I know
Just
exactly
like
what
you
you're
will.
thinking about. Yeah, it was really
but
interesting.
it has been, trust me, an adventure
For sure.
with the five of you.
Yes, man.
The
and I'll
smallest group.
forgive you all for not coming in the beginning and leaving me by myself.
Hey,
You know,
it was not our fault, you know.
Yeah, I don't believe we said-
Circumstances.
for that, but okay.
They told us there were delays. What did we do?
Yeah.
You know, and this relationship, friendship started from the beginning. Quinn and I were in the taxi together from
Yes.
the airport.
Yes.
And as he stepped out, I tell him he's weak. He caught a cold.
Oh, yeah, that's
instantly.
instant.
Next morning, Quinn knows running. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
okay, you know.
Yeah,
And
like-
the bond just grew from there.
Yeah.
We did things outside of CIPCC. Yes, we went to the provinces and so on, but when we had to take our strolls, we went to the malls, we went shopping. That really
Sure.
strengthened the bond to the point where Daniel is telling me that when I go back, she's manifesting that I'm going to get married, and everybody has to be invited. And
Yes.
I made the promise that everybody will be invited, including my goddaughter.
Yes.
My new goddaughter from St. Vincent. Everybody, because we're now family,
Yeah, it's true.
and I really appreciate and love you guys.
Yes. Thank you very
Thanks
much.
for making this experience easier.
Yes.
Yeah.
Struggle friends are usually the best friends. You know, people who go through something with you are usually the best friends. Anyhow, guys, this is the end of the interview. And to thank you for coming on and listening. And remember to share this content. Remember to share it with somebody that wants to learn about China or just wants to learn about this experience. Thank you for coming on. And as usual, stay hungry and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.